Hi, my dear friends. A guten Erev Shabbos, Erev Shabbat Shalom. We can all agree that one of the most important ingredients for a happy life is feeling gratitude for what we have. Unfortunately, we tend to overlook these blessings and take them for granted. It's easy enough to take life's gifts for granted when living in isolation, but there's an additional propensity for ignoring life's blessings when one is part of a larger, privileged society. Every community has social and economic standards to which it is easy to become accustomed. We look around us and we see everyone in our social circle living in a home or apartment, having food and not going hungry, having free health care and affordable transportation, and so we take these as a given, and even sometimes as an entitlement. Additionally, being part of any community engenders comparisons with others. No matter how successful and blessed we may be, there will always be someone who has more. I'm sure that even Jeff Bezos is looking at someone else in his economic circle who in some way has a richer life than him, if not economically, then perhaps in health or in relationships. The bottom line is that no matter how many blessings we have, we tend to compare ourselves to whatever standard has been set by others, and this often leads to a lack of appreciation for all that we do have. The very last mitzvah from last week's parsha was the commandment to obliterate amalek, the tribal entity who are described as asher karcha baderech. They made the Jewish people cool off from their intense love and attachment to Hashem. One way that Amalek accomplishes this goal is by making us feel that we really don't have it as good as we think we do. They did this to us when we left Egypt. We thought we had won the jackpot as Hashem's chosen people. Amalek came along and injected within us the suggestion that we weren't as exceptional as we thought. Amalek can be the person who looks at your brand new Toyota, which you just brought home with great excitement, and scoffs because it's not a Lexus or a BMW. Or Amalek can be the relative who looks at your new, beautiful, and perfectly healthy baby, and instead of remarking about this miracle of childbirth, instead raises an eyebrow because the baby's not as cute as that other child down the block. Amalek gets in the way of our happiness. That is why the very next mitzvah, the first of our parsha, teaches us the way to counteract Amalek. Especially when the Jewish people enter the land of Israel and set up our communal structures, it's inevitable that there will be some level of trying to keep up with the Joneses. A farmer may be self-conscious that his farmland isn't as large or as fruitful as his neighbors. He may feel frustration that the crops are not growing as well as they did last year. Amidst this kind of angst over what we don't have, Hashem gives us the mitzvah of bikurim, to take the very first produce items of the harvest from the fruits of Eretz Yisrael and bring them up to Jerusalem. Upon presenting his fruits to the Kohen in the temple, the farmer then verbalizes the history of the Jewish people, starting with our patriarchs, how we descended to Egypt, and how through the grace of God we now find ourselves with the blessings and bounty of the land of Israel. This is supposed to engender a sense of gratitude that might have become lackluster in the backdrop of everyday social life. Some of the details of this mitzvah warrant a brief analysis. First, the Torah requires the farmer to place the produce in a teneh, which is the word in our parsha for basket. Now this word is unique to our parsha, that word teneh. Everywhere else where the Torah talks about a basket, it uses the more conventional word sal, which means basket. That's the word that we use in modern Hebrew as well. Why does the Torah deem it important at all to add this detail, that the fruit must be placed in a basket for transport? And why use this unusual word for basket, teneh? Secondly, the Torah commands the farmer that upon arriving to the temple in Jerusalem, he shall approach and present the basket el hakohen asher yihiyeh bayamim hahem, to the Kohen who shall live during that time. Now, if the Torah is giving a mitzvah for perpetuity, commanding me to give a gift to the Kohen, then obviously I can only present it to the Kohen of that time. Would I think to present it to a Kohen who lived 100 years before, or who hasn't lived yet? Why does the Torah state the obvious? To answer our questions, let's recall that we all fall into the rut of not seeing the gifts of life all around us. That which is really a gift may appear at the moment to be a burden. The Aramaic word for burden is tuna, and the word tanana, which is the same root but with a geminated nun, means agitation or jealousy. In Arabic, the same word is used to describe an agitating buzzing. Some have suggested that tinnitus, or a ringing in the ears may originate from the same root. By using the word tene, the Torah may be alluding to its understanding that not everyone may see these first fruits as an automatic blessing. They may be viewed by some farmers as a burden, as a source of jealousy when they see the other farmers' even more bountiful harvest, or just the source of a buzzing annoyance. Why? Because the zeitgeist of your times may not allow you to see the blessing for what it truly is. And that is why you need to come to the Kohen, the great spiritual educator of your times. That is someone who understands the zeitgeist, who gets it, and appreciates where you're coming from. This Kohen will happily accept the basket from you. He will do his best to empathetically understand your lack of enthusiasm that is born from your circumstances and your time. But in the process, he will also encourage you to turn your frown upside down and start to realize the true gift that you are holding in your hands. He will encourage you to recall all the steps that brought you to this blessed moment and to think about all you truly have instead of all that you lack. He will help you trace the history of privation. That is what it means to be a Jew. Together you'll reflect on your ancient history of bondage, as well as your more recent history of how your parents or grandparents were immigrants, how they came to the promised land without 2 nickels to rub together, how they narrowly escaped death from their pursuers, and so on. In thinking about how truly fortunate you are, you will be able to return home from the temple with a newfound appreciation of what you do have instead of what you don't. You will have been unburdened of your tene, having interfaced with the Kohen, who both understands you and can help you reframe your reality. You know, we've gone through a lot in these past 6 months. It would certainly be understandable for any person, farmer or city slicker, to perceive the curses of this existence during a pandemic. That is why it's important to consult with the Kohen of your day once in a while. Speak to a friend or mentor who has a healthy outlook on life and sees all the blessings of modern life for what they are. We literally have the world at our fingertips and can access virtually anything from the comfort of our homes. Compared with just a generation ago, consider how fortunate we truly are. I contemplate the blessings of today as we celebrate the offer of our beloved son Aharon this Shabbos and his forthcoming marriage to Dahlia. It was only a few months ago, when the pandemic was just starting in March and the world had descended into horrified terror, that we couldn't contemplate how life would ever be able to return to some level of normalcy. And now, as we prepare for our son's marriage in a backyard, we are so truly grateful just to be able to attend his wedding. A year ago, if someone would have said to me, circumstances will be such that you will only be able to hold your son's wedding in a backyard, I might have expressed disappointment. But today, no, there's only joy and gratitude. It's all a matter of perspective. Let us thank Hashem today and every day as we reflect upon the blessings of our lives. May we truly bring that basket of blessing to Jerusalem and learn how our burdens are our greatest blessings. And may we encounter the Kohen Gadol of our future redemption. B'mheira b'yameinu, amen. As the days get earlier and as we approach Rosh Hashanah, let me wish you a Shabbat Shalom, a good Shabbos, and take a moment to think about all the blessings of your life, even when you're home. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos.